Verse. Think about the following example. You have a husband and a wife. They live in a house together. Yes, they should because they're married. Now there's this other woman that comes around in the picture and she moves into the house of the married couple and now she plays the boss in their home. She goes so far that she begins to boss everyone around and she begins to badmouth and verbally abuse the wife of the husband. Let's say that this woman that moved in is, let's say, a relative of the husband or a friend, whoever. But this other woman, the third party that comes in, she wants to rearrange everything and she wants to dominate and control everyone, and the wife is not having it. Then there's a day they're in the kitchen together, and this new woman is upset about something and she verbally goes off at the wife. The wife remained quiet and docile for a while, but then she finally lost it. She raised her voice and put that other woman in her place. And then the husband is shocked, and husband grabs his wife and tells her to shut up, calm down. And now both the husband and that other woman are raging against the wife. And eventually the husband puts the wife outside to calm down. And then when the wife is outside calming down, that other woman tells the husband, should allow your wife to speak to you like that. You're the husband. You have the authority over her. And the husband agrees. If you would see a situation like this on national television, what would you think? This is narcissistic violence. The husband is incompetent and he's a narcissist himself because he allows another woman to just come into his house and to trample upon him and abuse his wife in his face when he's there. And when the wife stands up to the situation, he turns on the wife. Why? Because when she stands up, it embarrasses him that he's the one allowing this to happen in his home. Now, let's change the situation for a moment. Let's change the age of the. Let's say it's not the wife but a daughter, and her age is 14 or 15, or a bit younger. And this other woman is just a woman from some television program, in which wives change households between families for some experiment. There is a television show like this that used to be aired in Britain. I'm not sure if the show is still around. But in one of those episodes that I watched, I was around 15 maybe, I saw exactly what I just explained. Father, daughter, strange other woman, and the father was so incompetent that even I as a 15-year-old was thinking, what type of man is this? And when the daughter was verbally abused on camera, the dad just stood there and just allowed it to happen as if he didn't want to deal with it. When the daughter stood her ground, raised her voice and put the other woman in place saying, hey, you're not the boss around here. You shouldn't come here and just control me like that. The father said, oh, no, shut up, calm down. Now the daughter was the problem. No. That other woman should even have the courage nor the confidence to behave out of line like that in someone else's home. And the father, who's the head of the household, should have been the one telling her, oh, hold on, this goes too far. But now the daughter suffers because of the malmanagement and the incompetence of the father, and now the father blames her. She needs to calm down, she's a problem. So the daughter, for some reason, has to take all the abuse, which is at the expense of her own health, just because the father doesn't want to face himself. And that other woman who's an abuser just takes advantage of it, saying, well, you should be more respectful to your father, blah, blah, blah. When I saw that, I was thinking, okay, either this is fake, or the people that made this program, they have no regard for anyone at all. Because it's obviously a case of domestic violence. There's no way I can justify this situation. And there's no way you can justify blaming the daughter for being put in a situation she never chose for. She did not choose to be part of that program. She did not choose to have this woman misbehave to her like this, and she didn't choose the incompetence of her father. Yet she was the one being blamed. Now, in the parable I give unto you, I changed the daughter for a wife. And people would say immediately to the wife, you need to get out of that. You need to divorce that man. That man is not good for you. That man enables harm on you. And people say that's okay. But suddenly, because it's a daughter now, because it's a child, the child has to take everything from that man. The man is just incompetent, but because it's not a wife, but a daughter, the daughter has to take because he's the father. Some point in time, he had sex with a woman, his semen got into a woman's vagina, and the woman became pregnant, and the daughter came out 9 months later, and because of that, he's entitled to be as incompetent as he wants and still demand honor from that offspring. That does not make sense at all. Yet, society tricks you into believing it's all right. And there's been more of such disturbing cases on television. And I was thinking, how dare those program makers make to air such stuff? Don't they know people are going to become upset? Well, obviously people are not upset. Why? So obviously, in the unconscious of the masses, they agree with child abuse. They agree with domestic violence against children. They agree with abusing your position just because you have a title. Look, even things as standing up against an abusive narcissistic spouse is something that recently has become a hot topic that people have support for it. If you go 30, 40 years ago, abusive narcissistic spouse, people didn't want to hear about it. It was a domestic issue. People want to be left alone. Until it happens too often that women were murdered, sometimes even men and children were murdered, and the situation embarrassed people. There was so much incompetence in society that they began to make laws against verbal abuse in households. They realized this whole concept of privacy is BS and that the safety of the population is important. Why am I recording this video and telling you about this? Because just like that daughter in that television program became the scapegoat of the incompetence of those around her, the same way you will become a target the moment you point out things that don't add up and you make plain, I don't take this. Look, even if you reacted in an unhealthy way, why did you react in an unhealthy way? Because it was an unhealthy situation pushing on you. Now you should take responsibility for reacting in an unhealthy way, but hold on a minute. That unhealthy situation, who enabled it? Look, if you're in your own home and suddenly there's this burglar entering in, or let's say you're asleep and you wake up and suddenly you see this burglar with this mask on, staring at you with a hammer. Are you going to say, sir, what are you doing here? Are you going to respond very friendly and calmly? No. Your survival instincts kicks in and you will jump at that individual. You may even knock him out and that burglar may even die. Did you intend to be so physical and violent? No. But you were forced into a situation that was so unhealthy for you that you couldn't take it anymore. You broke down. That's why in many countries, when a burglar enters into a home, breaks into a home, and the burglar is wounded by the owner of the home after the owner of the home is not prosecuted, if it was just a shock reaction. Now, someone doesn't have to physically endanger you for you to have a shock reaction. Sometimes persistent verbal abuse can also cause a shock reaction in you. And a shock reaction is you not being able to, is you breaking down. Because you broke down, you cannot be accountable or responsible for your behavior at that point in time because you've been broken down so much that you couldn't stand in for the consequences. If you walk down the street and someone just jumps on you with a knife and you end up killing an individual, in court they would say, hey, this was self-defense. We cannot hold the individual accountable for the death of the perpetrator because the individual was forced into a very dangerous situation and the shock reaction was the result. Now, you can get a shock reaction by people enabling negativity against you. But when you have the shock reaction with something you don't want, with something that happens to you, now people blame you. You are to blame because their ease is disturbed. That's how it goes in society. And too many of us tolerate a lot of BS from society because it's society. I'm telling you, believers, stop it. Why is it that a lot of behavior people do against children is tolerated, but if you would even consider doing that to an adult, people say no? Don't be fooled, believers. Keep agreeing with Christ.